Hello everyone, welcome to Analog IAS Current Affair Analysis for 24th June 2021. These are the couple of articles that we'll be discussing today. Blended learning won't work. This article highlights the issues with the implementation of the concept of blended learning. So, blended learning was proposed by the UGC in its recent guidelines. So what exactly is this blended mode of teaching? What are its advantages? Let us understand. So a recent circular by the University Grants Commission, they propose that all higher educational institutes should teach 40% of their content online and the rest 60% in offline. So this is the meaning of blended learning. So the reasons why UGC proposed this model is because it paves the way for a lot of advantages. So what is the advantage that UGC is talking about? They're not one but many. First one, there is increased student engagement. That is, participation from the students' end will increase because of this engagement. And secondly, it enhances student teacher interactions. That is, our country suffers with a problem of one, there is a paucity of time that students and teachers spend together. So if the minimum content is watched by a student online, then he can ask his doubts in the offline method. So this is the meaning of blended learning. Third one, there is improved students learning outcome. So since he watches the videos at his own pace and reaches out to the lecturers only in times of doubts, there is definitely an improved student learning outcome. Next one, there is more flexibility in teaching and learning environments. So teaching flexibility is another factor that is considered here. The next benefit that we are talking about is the increased opportunity for institutional collaborators. That is, distance education can actually augment the quality of teaching as well. Also, this blended learning will benefit teachers as well because it shifts the role of the teacher from being a knowledge provider to a coach or a mentor. So this is the idea behind this concept of blended learning. UGC guidelines also says that this blended learning introduces a element of flexibility in assessment in evaluation patterns as well. That is, exam patterns. It need not be strict exam hall based, question paper based assessment to decide whether a student has learned a particular subject or not. So this is the concept of blended learning, and this feels very right, but there are certain challenges associated with the success of this program. So what are the challenges that we are talking about? Firstly, the All India Survey on Higher Education shows that 60.56% of the colleges in our country are located in rural areas. And in these, 78.6% are privately managed. So only big corporates are better placed in a position to invest in technology. So the costs involved, investments involved are very high, and this will place the rural education sector in a disadvantaged position. Second problem is internet penetration. It is just 46% in our country. So this will lead to inequality within geography and also within the same state as well. What we're talking about is basically digital divide. The next problem is this blended learning leaves little room for all-round formation of the student, and this includes intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, social quotient, etc. So all-round development is yet another concern. The next issue that we can talk about is the listening part and subsequent interactions with the teacher may get minimized. So the concept assumes that all students have similar learning styles and have a certain amount of digital literacy to cope with the existing situations and strategies of this blended learning. So basically, it's a one size fits all approach. However, this is not the case in our country. Education is actually driven by teachers in our culture. So teacher centric approach should be the way forward, and if we have to change this, we have to address these anomalies. So this is the gist of this article. The union government has a unifying effect. This article is in the context of the Tamil Nadu government's decision to remove the usage of the word central government and replace it with the word union government in all official communications. So this is very much in the lines of what was originally considered to be the consciousness of our constitution. If you take a look at the Article 1 of our constitution, India is considered to be a union of states. So the usual connotation that we understand when we say central government is there is a element of centralization and unitary feature is involved. But when we say that India is a union of states, it does not mean unitary in nature. It is a union of states to the amount that no state will have power to break away from the Union of India. But there is certain element of federalism, that is division of powers, associated with the constitutional design. So when we say the term central government, where is it designed or where is it defined? Even though we have no reference to the central government in the constitution, there is a act called the General Clauses Act of 1897, which defines certain vague terms like this. And the central government, for all practical purposes, is the president after the commencement of the constitution. So we're talking about the president's office here, because the council of ministers headed by the prime minister advise the president and they carry out executive activities in his name. So central government is basically nothing but the office of president. Therefore, the real question is whether such a definition for central government is constitutional, as the constitution itself does not approve of centralizing power. And to actually understand this debate, we have to go back to our constitutional debates in the Constituent Assembly, which started in December 13, 1946. So in this context, our ex-Prime Minister Pandit Nehru introduced the aim and objective of the assembly, and he said that India will be a union of territories willing to join the independent sovereign republic. Independent sovereign republic. Please emphasize on these three words. It means that India can never be broken down. So unity was given the priority. So the emphasis was on consolidation and confluence of various provinces which were existing back then. Many members of the Constituent Assembly were of the opinion that the principles of the Cabinet Mission Plan. So when was this Cabinet Mission Plan out? It was out in 1946, and based on this only we have had the Constituent Assembly. So this contemplated a central government with very limited powers. This gained more traction, but the partition and violence of 1947 in Kashmir forced the Constituent Assembly to revise its approach and favored a very strong center. That is why we see that Article 1 is articulated as Union of States rather than a Federation of States. There were certain critics as well. For example, if you take the case of Maulana Hazrat Mohani, he criticized the choice of the words Union of States by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He did not approve it at all and argued that Ambedkar was trying to change the very nature of the constitution. He even went on to make a very fiery speech in the assembly in 1949. He contended that the use of the word Union of States would actually make the word republic meaningless. So Mohani went to the extent of saying that Ambedkar wanted the union to be something like on the lines of Bismarck's Germany. So he felt that eventually this would turn into Hitler's Germany if we let that happen. But Ambedkar gave a very elaborate clarification that union is not a league of states united in a loose relationship. Now the states, the agencies of the union, they will have their own powers. That is why the 7th schedule of the constitution is in place. So we know that the 7th schedule divided the powers between the center and the states. So the crux that we have to take away is, as Nani Palkiwala, a famous lawyer, he said that the only satisfactory and lasting solution of the problem is found not in the statute book but in the conscience of men in power. A very important phrase. So this actually lays down the principle of union government and how the center and state should coordinate between them. So that is the gist of this article.